your collectivity. The reason for withdrawal. Draw yourself. Never into any gathering, and giving any recognition of any portion of the mass processing that you are. You, as part of the process, you have chosen in this piece of life to remember who and what you are. Recognize that all of what you call in your civilization learning is the process of remembering who you are. So the idea that you have created in this physical reality has been the idea of being able to forget who you are. That is what you have been exploring for many thousands of your years. Now you are at the ending of this cycle of exploration in that way. Now, therefore, you have created the idea in your consciousness of what you call New Age awareness. This is to be your symbol to reflect that you are going through a transformation. This transformation is to be one of defining yourself anew, recognizing more of yourself that already exists, becoming more aware of more of your being, more of your consciousness, remembering that you agreed individually and together to create this which you recognize as your physical reality, and to project yourselves into it for the purposes of exploring the idea of limitation, the idea of separation, which is simply one more way that all that is has of expressing itself. You are remembering that you know everything you need to know. You are remembering that you are, in a sense, the God. You, in your reality that you see round and about you, see yourself reflected in that as if it is a 360 degree spherical mirror, what you perceive as your physical reality, which surrounds you, in which you think you exist, is a projection from the center of your being, reflecting back to you from the screen you have built round you to cut yourself off from the rest of yourself. In this way has been your grand experiment. You are no one experiment but your own. This is your reality. This is your dimension. Now, you and other civilizations and other consciousness levels, or what we call densities, are now able to lend to a certain extent, some assistance in your recognition, your remembrance of who and what you are, but only to the point that it does not interfere with what you have chosen to experience in this life. This is a transformation in life upon your planet. This is the transformation of consciousness from third to fourth density. The raising of your vibrational level so that you will create more awareness of more of yourself. Have more of yourself present in an energy relationship. And in this way gather to yourself all that you have ever been. In this entire exploration that you have called your life, your life, within what you call your earth plane of experience. Are you all following along so far? Yes. No, come on. We are connected, in a sense, to you all. Any other civilization that is interacting with you is connected to you through consciousness. We have all co-created experiences that are manifesting in your lives. Simply because we can. Simply because we can. Recognize that many of you on your planet, because you are coming out of what we call the habitual ritual of separation and limitation, have come up with the idea that your life to be lived needs a specific person. And in a sense, it does. But many times, not with the case. You, the individual personality construct that you have created yourselves to be in this life now, that, to be that, completely that is your purpose. To be exactly, completely, who and what you have chosen to be. That is your purpose. Being true to yourself. Living with the conviction of knowing what you are all about. Allowing yourself the freedom of expression without judgment, without invalidation, to express yourself fully as the being that you are, is to then be living as the complete facet that you are of the multi-dimensional crystal that is all that is. And in being fully yourself, you then extend to fill your universe, your particular facet. And by extending to fill your facet and not withdrawing and cutting yourself off, you allow yourself to then, along those borderlines, touch all other facets and feel the connection that you have to everyone else, to everything else, in all that is. You're holy. Are you all right? All right. Sure. Yes.
Somebody's talking. I have been saying to my sister and last year, and I think it's the self-factor as well. The extent to which you recognize each of us, my feeling is that you accept separate things that thou knows about it, or that you've done in time. But if you don't recognize me, that is what the feeling I have, and I'm saying it's a good point.
In a sense, we will pick up from time to time, as you say, what we call a signature vibration, but recognize this. To our perception, you are not a discrete personality. You are many ideas. And in this way, you are always becoming a new being.
Yes, I understand that, but at the same time, there is some essence of each of us, and the thing of vibration that gives us is that mostly from the original first, or is it?
It is a combination of many things.
So, I think we see that the essence is where?
Yes, to a degree. But again, many times your perception of our interaction is simply based upon the type of interaction that is necessary with that individual, and not the idea of recognizing who they think they are, who we think they used to be, but interacting with them in the now as a new person.
It's really
Why?
Well, because the way we are used to interacting with each other, the other thing is sort of along the same line is that you tend to take people very literally when you're talking.
All right. Now understand this. Many times we do that because your people in your civilization do not realize that when they say a certain thing, they do not think they mean it literally, but many times they live their lives literally to the letter of what they say. Therefore, we simply give them an opportunity to hear themselves talk. For in this way, if they pay attention to the ideas they are sharing, many times they can automatically see the answer as to why their lives are the way they are.
It's just the duties are in the course, and then you interact with each other. There's a lot of non-verbal communication going on, and so that you know what the station is, and you feel the station is, and that doesn't control it when you're talking with it.
All right, now, one other thing to recognize, again, that there may be other individuals who may share similar ideas with you of the feeling of the interaction. But what you are speaking of for now is simply your perception. For you will find that there are other individuals who will have a completely opposite perception. They have said many times, the God, no matter where I am, you always recognize me. Just the opposite of what you are saying. It does not matter to us in that way. And one other thing. In a sense, remember this. So we are communicating with you. And so we are connected in many ways. You are all your own expression. I am also my own expression for my own civilization. In a sense, not to mean that any is better or worse, more or less, but simply different. Your modes of thought are quite alien to me. My modes of thought are quite alien to you. And more as we communicate, we find and create common ground.
Along those lines, it really appears that this is something that we know. The university who invited you to for instance, you do recognize each other.
Right.
And the real information and looking at those things, that's fine. How do you recognize yourself?
By the signature vibration.
Is each one different?
Yes. But again, many times, to us again, it will not matter. The idea that an individual shares an idea with us doesn't necessarily mean that we must make a distinction as to exactly who that individual is. For everything in our reality to us is real. And we do not put the validation or invalidation upon it of needing to know exactly who it came from. It is simply a shared experience, a shared idea, and there is not a separation of individuals in that way.
It's a different concept for us.
All right, but why do we need to make it? Because why is it an issue?
Well, it's only an issue when it says the kind of communication that I had with you when I was concerned that you had the other people. But I'm very interested in how people get to know each other and how they live on each other. And so
by loving each other.
Right.
Now, understand you have upon your planet friends, you call it. To know someone is to love them. On our planet it is to love them. If you love each other, you will know each other. What do you think?
Bashar, could you share with us some of the folklore and legends from your planet's history, perhaps when you were interdensity and moving to force?
All right. Very briefly. For this was the one for you. The idea simply is that there was a time, let us say, comparable to where you are now, when we were experimenting with the idea of what you have created to be. Nations, countries. In this way, in our, what you call history, we simply created them as an experiment. And it was not necessary to assume that any particular, what you call ideology, had to become fixed. Therefore, we created, on purpose, as you would say, completely different societies, so that we could observe in each one of the experimental societies those things that, in your terms, worked the best. We allowed then to be a period where individuals that had lived in one society would then completely transfer to another society, and, as you say, vice versa. So that they now got used to a new set of rules, so to speak, and saw how the habits they had formed in one nation could or could not transfer to the structure of another. This allowed us, through our determination, to recognize what was essential for coexistence. For what did not function from one to another, we had no use for. For if we were to function as one planet, then all the conditions had to satisfy all individuals within a given space. This then was our history of nations, but there was no before, for anyone was free to go to any nation, to live in those conditions, and to find out for themselves what remained or what was enhanced or added to of the conditions to which they were used to, and add to the overall knowledge in this way of what would form what we have now, which is one society.
Was there no evolutionary process?
Do you mean physiologically?
No, okay.
Yes. But in this way, recognize the overall purpose, to begin with, of our civilization did not carry with it the same extent of limitation that you chose to experiment with on your planet.
You started out with higher intellect?
Not so much higher intellect, let us say, we started out not forgetting as much.
Yes.
The intellect is equal in our civilization, your civilization, any civilization, is simply the scenario that you choose to create, to live in.
Did you not start out with some equivalent to cave type? Like in our society, we started out originally in the evolutionary process until we received our history.
That we also had at times that we call non-technological. But in this way, still, there was always the recognition of the connection.
Connection with all that is.
And all that is. To different extents and in different interpretations, but never to the extent as on your planet of completely forgetting.
Yes.
Thus we have had no tool that you call warfare. How do you avoid that? It is not a matter of avoiding it. You are assuming that something like that is inevitable. It is not. You, as a civilization, have chosen to experience the idea of warfare. It is not as common as it seems. It is not inevitable. It is only inevitable to you because of the scenario you started out with. Thus, you excuse scenario. And in that scenario, it is. But our scenario is not that way. Understand that when you were non-physical as a group consciousness, before you entered into the physical plane of your own free will, of your own choice, you decided what you were going to experiment with. To a certain extent. The laying down of that foundation and the projecting of your consciousness into it, and then allowing yourselves as consciousness embodied in matter to experience the specific type of physiological evolution that you did based upon the structure you had formed is what led to the society we now have. Our imposition into matter carried with it to begin with a different concept from the beginning. These concepts of civilization in physical form on planet are determined previous to your existence in material form. So this clarify the idea somewhat for you. One moment. Yeah.
I have heard you say that our best procedure is to be who we are.
Right.
It's hard for me to conceive of being anything else but what I am.
Very good.
So what is there to, that you're implying is something to change into? And
another idea of you, which is still who you are, but encompasses the idea of growth, of more awareness, of more of yourself.
well, isn't that part of who I am at this moment?
Yes. The way you are doing it for you is correct.
So that there's no striving,
No, thank you.
There's no intention to move necessarily, to grow.
There is intention to grow, but not to struggle or have to achieve. You simply live and create in the moment. And as you keep creating new moments, you grow.
And does it also follow that there's no way of doing anything wrong?
That there is no right and wrong. There are ideas you, let us say, to use your terminology, in a sense, may find inefficient. maybe less preferable or more preferable. Without judging, you can know what you prefer. You do not have to invalidate something to know that you prefer something else. But it's simply a matter of preference choosing. You have the ability to choose anything which, for when you allow all possible choices to be equal, then it is easy to choose from among them which you prefer, without having to invalidate or lower any of the other choices, or put any of these choices higher than yourself so that you must struggle to attain them. They're all on the same level. Everything is equal, simply different. You always have the free will to be different in any way you choose. And that is the idea of growth. Recognizing the infinite diversity that you are as a single idea.
Yes, but yes, and I am aware that I have chosen to set up critics of myself.
All right.
That is
very creative.
This is who I am.
All right.
So that leads to a sense of imbalance or inner struggle.
All right. Do you prefer that you? Or do you prefer to be another you?
I don't have a reference for another you.
Yes, you do. It is called your imagination. Now, what you do you imagine you will someday be that you would prefer to the you are now? Do you have a sense of that at all?
Yes, I do.
Then, in the second you perceive that, you are it. You are that you until you decide to go back to the other you. You change that quickly. Is that one?
Is that because you created God and this is a body from your soul?
You are. Underlying this, 1,270,570,000 times, you are the creator. Your thoughts are reality.
Is that because you carry a piece of opportunity?
Yes, you are all that is. As many seen as you wish. No. I am now not the you, the me that created that. I am now the you, the me that creates something else.
Question, Becky? In our in respect to what you're saying, as a society as a whole, our society, going through this huge transition and this time of turmoil, and it's like extremely polarized.
Yes, very good. That is the idea of physical reality, as you have created to experience polarity. It is one of the defining terms of physicalness.
Yes, and now it seems like it's going through a very critical, crisis time.
All right, now,
it's building
let
up.
us say it is reaching critical mass, but that does not mean you have to experience it in a crisis manifestation. If you are willing to change the habit of how you look at things, you can begin to believe that you do not have to go through a trial by fire in order to feel like you deserve happiness. You follow me?
Yes, but here's a complication.
All right.
All right, let's say someone, let's say me.
Pretty good.
Have my head clear on this, and then meanwhile,
Yes.
the rest of, let's say, our country and its whole polarized war mechanism, and all the people who watch Rambo and all, etc., are going at it.
Yes.
Won't I get sucked into the whole mess?
Not if it is not you. Understand this. Pay attention. You are your own universe. Do you know what that means?
I'm working on it.
Take me literally. You are your own universe. You are your own reality. You vibrate to ideas. Ideas vibrating to your level become the reality you experience. Now, if you were, in your terms, the only one to vibrate at the level where you did not contain the idea at all of what what we call war, you would be the only one who would see another world. The individuals you would interact with would not accept the idea of war, or it would not exist for them either. Understand this. Each and every one of you exists on all the different levels that there are to exist upon, in all the different variations of the world that there is to exist within, all at the same time. When you change your level of vibration, you, let us say by analogy, tune yourself to a particular frequency or bandwidth. It is then only in that bandwidth that your experiences come from. They cannot come from a bandwidth you do not function in. Therefore, since everyone is on every level, then the portions of the individuals that already exist on that level are the individuals you will be interacting with. But understand, it is not that the original, so the individuals have changed. It is that you have changed. You have taken yourself to the level where now you only perceive the portions of everyone else that also only exist on that level. And in that level, the world is the idea that does not contain war. So that is all you perceive.
I fail to understand how the gentleman's question, as I understood it,
Yes.
if war starts when we as a majority of one decide not to pursue it,
Yes.
how do we not get vaporized?
All right. You are making the, I'll say, assumption that there is only one reality. Understand this. You are actually, literally, a separate reality. The fact that you seem to share similar ideas is only because of your agreement with all the other realities. You have agreed to do so. When you do not agree to do that anymore, you will not perceive individuals who have agreed to experience something.
You cross into another dimension.
You do this every moment of time to exist. So second nature, you do not even know you are doing it. You are discontinuous. You are constantly recreating the idea of yourself from moment to moment to moment to moment. So quickly, you do not recognize that there is break in between. Thus, in the very next moment, if you can change the idea of who and what you are, you could quite literally vanish from this reality and be in another one. Now, to you, whatever level of acceptance you have within yourself, whatever way will not be a shock to you, you will perhaps not feel like anything different has happened. But all of a sudden, everyone around you is absolutely free. Not talking about the same things they were talking about yesterday. What's going on? Am I going crazy? Well, in a sense, yes. Because that is what insanity is. Simply the experiencing of an alternate reality that is not the mass agreed upon reality. It is no less real than what you have previously considered to be the real reality. For what you think of as the real solid reality is only the product of your imagination, the product of what you believe your reality should be. And so that is what you do. When you change the idea of who you are and the ideas you contain, you will change the reality you perceive. For you are you created in no uncertain terms. It does work that way. It is only the degree to which you are willing to believe that will allow you to see the changes going on around you. However, let us say, quickly or slowly, you can accept the change. Slowly. If you accept the change in an instant, the reality would change for you in an instant. Maybe not for someone else. But you have then, in a sense, gone into one dimension. They have gone into another. And the reality you experience bit by bit becomes more the reality you want to experience because, and only because, first of all, you were willing to act like that reality and take yourself to that bandwidth frequency by acting like that frequency. So, it's very simple mechanics. Good.
You said earlier that
the idea that we call unconditional love is that which is all that is. It is the essence of existence. It is what supports the universe. It is what you recognize as the energy of knowingness. The energy, the willingness to know that you contain all, and that you are contained in all. That is what the idea of love is to us.
About culture, you have a myth that we haven't seen those in the place. We have no cultural
Not so much anymore. So I recognize that there were at times similar to that idea. More, not so much, I'll say, myth, more what you may call fables. Oh, right. When we were experimenting the idea of what you call instantaneous travel, in the early attempts, there were individuals who were not, let us say, settled into a unification of the vibration of our civilization. They had taken upon themselves the idea that once they would partake in such an experiment, they would be released and free to go where they wished. Therefore, when came time for that individual to be aboard spacecraft that would initiate what you call hyperjump, of the many individuals aboard the craft, when it arrived at the other end, one was no longer with us. And it was from that day, in the fable, let us say, way, assumed that the individual became the path that he had traveled and expanded himself into the universe, and that now we travel within him, upon him, and he died our way. Now, very shortly thereafter, in terms of time, we came to understand that the individual physicist had allowed the opportunity to transfer himself to another dimension of reality. We were able to track down the timelines eventually and discover what had happened, but then all we realized that the individual had, of course, long since reincarnated many times. But the energy idea still existed for quite some time as something to be felt, so that when we went to the stars, we always knew there was always a piece of us always there. So we would greet ourselves everywhere we went. You like that story?
Yeah.
Simply because we have now become our Savior. We are living our dreams. For to us, imagination is real.
We've had spiritual leaders, as you probably know, like Daniel said.
All right, now, may I interrupt you for one moment, and then let you proceed. Yes. Before you go on, allow me to say the idea, in an overall sense, of spiritual leader is a contradiction. For those that know that they are spirit and know that everything is spirit do not need to be. But we understand the context in which what we do. So by all means, proceed.
I was wondering whether, yes, and I agree. I wonder whether these, what we call spiritual leaders, were people, forgive what you said before, who understood what they were willing to go to the furthest of their own reality, and then immediately, or very, very quickly, had other people following. That we've heard about many people going into their reality at once.
Yes.
Is that what that was the concept you're speaking about?
Yes.
Question before that.
To some degree, yes.
So they experience their own reality becoming manifest in the world around them, and they heard about it with the teaching.
Yes. Very good.
It's very, very clear.
It is very simple. Very simple. Yes. Yes.
I'm aware of a being named Jordania, and I'd like to know if you have any information that you could share with me about who he is, and insofar as I am a part of the system of the sea,
Do you
and
mean the serious energy?
of the ocean,
Yes.
the sea.
But also of the star system serious.
Perhaps, I'm not aware of that, but
How do you feel about that star system?
my stomach is vibrating.
Then perhaps it has the cold.
Yes.
Right? Can you tune into the idea of what you call Sylvania in the sense that it is partaking in an energy way, let us say, of an energy sea, living in an energy sea?
Can you say that another way, perhaps?
All right? That the being, when it thinks of itself as a quasi-planar reality, quasi-energy, quasi-matter being that exists in an energy sea, which is at once an extension of itself and at the same time the support medium of all of its brethren and sisters.
Yes.
This, at this time, is our perception of that energy.
Thank you.
No, thank you with your connection. Yes.
Bashar,
Yes.
in your civilization, do you have a division between the sexes into male and female?
Yes.
And if you do, what is your matter of procreation, and
Similar to your own.
in what way have you resolved what, at least for my own life, is a certain disharmony which exists in our civilization between the different sexes?
Very simply, by marrying the male and female energies within each and every one of them. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, or maybe.
Each and every one of you are a polarized idea of what you call male and female energy. Yes?
Yes.
Positive, negative. You understand?
Yes.
By allowing those energies to blend and balance within each male, within each female, do you then marry the idea in that way so that you are complete and do not need to create relationships in order to feel complete, but knowing yourself to be complete to begin with, can create relationships in which you can share equally with each other. For you both contain the equality of the whole.
Yes, if that were to be achieved, would we see a different manifestation of the marriage? Would marriages even be necessary the way they currently are?
Perhaps not. In our civilization, every being is married, in a sense, to every other being in the civilization. All children, though they recognize their what you call biological parents, are the children of all. And all are parents to all children. Thus, as we are connected in this way, in love with each other, there is no need to worry, to wonder where the children ever are. For we always know where they are, and they are always with their parents. Now, individuals may create different variances of relationships from time to time. But again, it is simply a recognition that relationships, even what you call upon your planet marriages, simply serve specific purposes. Some of these serving can go on for the physical lifetime, some do not. Depends upon the reasons for which you have created these ideas. Simply, we do not put expectation or judgment upon the relationship that it must be such and such or so and so. We enjoy the relationship for what it is. For we know that our physical reality and every situation in it is attracted by us, and thus is a reflection of what we are choosing to experience. There are no interruptions. There are no wrong turns. You are never off your path. You are not even on a path. You are the path. You cannot be off your path. But in relationships, things cannot go wrong. Everything that occurs is the product of the agreement that the two people created and attracted themselves together. In your terms, yes, for we are again physical, but in this way, we are beginning to understand in that sense, in a sense, you do not have to. Now, to a degree, we still have some of the ideas in third density aspects of ourselves, of the limitation of that, because we are interacting with your society and other societies, and so must maintain a portion of ourselves in the density in which we can do so. Therefore, the density that you would recognize, so to speak, as the one you would communicate with, the reflection, the version of ourselves that you would recognize as the physical being that you would be talking to if we were face to face, lives in your terms, let us say, loosely translated, about 300 of your years as an average lifespan. Now, however, we do not age so much as to we mature to a certain point and then maintain. And simply when the purpose is served for the physical life, same place you do. Into the other planes of existence, the less physical ones. And then we make our choices, as do you, for what we want to do. In our civilization, first of all, the idea of communication with the entity to be born is ongoing before the physical birth. When the child comes in, there is a period of acclimatization for a being that has been non-physical to learn to be physical again, but it is approximately, let us say, 3 of your years. At that stage, they are still in use, but they have the cognizance to communicate anything they need to. And so we can go on about exploring the world, winding up where they need to be, to learn from whoever they need to learn from, whatever it is they need to learn to serve the purpose for which they go to be physically in our society. Me? No. No. It was simply misunderstanding that our society does have yes.
I'm interested in imagination and creativity.
Oh, very good.
Is there some way to make imagination and
Make? No. Allow? Yes.
there's a way to allow or stimulate planetary creativity and imagination to be exponential at the time, or in your own way of saying, maybe fourth-dimensional?
Fourth density.
Fourth density.
Live that way in your own imagination, and you will begin to attract others who do the same. And by using that type of an example, you will offer the opportunity to others to see the effect in you and therefore choose it if they also think that would be a good idea for them. By being the reality you imagine you would like to see on your world, do you give others in your world the opportunity to share that reality with you? But it is always their choice. You cannot force them to change. But that does not matter. Because as we said, when you change, they will seem to have changed. Because you will only be experiencing the facets of those individuals that represent the level upon which you now exist. So you will not change.
How do you define imagination?
It is a dimension of creation. And it is you. It is, in your terms, because of the separation, let us say at best, a listing of probabilities, things that can become real. Because you are in time linear framework, things will, to some extent, because of your agreement, still take time, sometimes, do not need much time. But the way to allow them to take the least amount of time necessary is to act like that existence that you desire to exist already does exist in the present. Then you will be opening yourself up to the allowance of those things to come to you, to be attracted to you, as quickly as they can, or you will not be closing any doors through which they could come. By assuming that this is something that can only happen somewhere in the future. And when you assume that what you want in your life is something that will happen in the future instead of in the now, it stays in the future. Because you are creating the future from the present. And you are creating the past from the present. The present is the only time in which you ever experience yourself. This is true for your past and future as well. The present is the only time in which you exist. Now is it. That's it. Now. Here and now. Right now, right here. Everything you have ever been, everything you will ever be, to use your terminology, is all right here, right now. But, if you can imagine it, you can be it right now. Because when you imagine it, you are vibrating at that level. You cannot perceive or conceive what you do not conceive. You cannot imagine non-existence. Everything you imagine is real. And only the degree of willingness that you are willing to have makes it as real as you are willing to do it. Does that clarify the idea somewhat?
I was looking at the last one, I suppose that if everybody behaves that way, then everybody attracts some sort of creative vibration on the planet, which makes the planet then exponentially creative.
All right, one moment. You're missing a subtle point. If you alone act that way, completely, the planet you will perceive will reflect your own exponential allowance. Because you are your own planet. You are your own reality. You are your own universe.
Paradox is paradox.
To you. But understand that when you call paradox, the idea, the ability to see dichotomy, polarized positive, polarized negative, being opposite, understand that the ability to see both sides comes from you in the center. And therefore, somewhere in you, both of those seemingly opposite ideas are blended, because you are projecting the ability to see them both. Thus you know that the ability to see them both means you have the ability to contain them both without discrepancy. One moment. Do you wish to explore the imagination idea a little bit further, or is it becoming clearer?
I'm sorry, I didn't ask so much as a personal question. I was looking for something.
All questions are personal.
Oh, well then.
Everything is subjective. Everything is subjective. You do not need to be concerned about anyone else. By being completely who you are, that is how you will serve everyone else. By giving them the opportunity to see in you, personally, how you manifest the idea of imagination. That is how you give others the opportunity to be served by you. Is it becoming clear at all? Are you sure?
I'm working on it.
Why choose to work on it?
I'm happy with it.
Oh, all right. You can be happy with anything. Anything at all. Now, the idea of other individuals simply is that you do not need to be concerned for them, you do not need to be responsible for them in the sense of worrying what is going to happen to them. For them, you are taking responsibility for their choices upon your own shoulders. You are responsible to them, not for them.
What's the difference?
By being who you are, you fulfill your responsibility to them, to do your part. By worrying about what they are choosing, you are taking responsibility for them, which means you are taking their power away. You follow me?
Yes.
That's the difference. Why did? Why did?
I think I understand that the dream state is the real state.
It is all real. But we have said that, to use your terminology, your analogy, the dream state is more the awake state because you are more aware of more of yourself in the non-physical reality. And the physical reality is more the dream state because it is where you limit your experiences to a specific ideal. Well, the physical reality is more like what you normally think of as a dream state because it is a highly focused experience. And you are not awake to the rest of yourself. You are simply focused in this light. And that is the dream you have chosen to live. Yes. That is why in fourth density you will begin to live your dream reality. The idea of what you call dreaming, when you wake up, you remember a dream, you are creating that in the physical world to make the best sense you can in symbols you understand of the experience of yourself in a non-physical reality that is limitless. Therefore, when you do not create such a differentiation between the dream self and the physical self, when you blend the two through your imagination, which is the bridge and the link and the conduit between the dream self and the physical self, then you will begin to live your dreams and you do not need to have a creation of a symbolic reference that you call a dream. You will never wake up. You will always be dreaming. You will always be living. One will flow into the other, and there will be no separation. Then you will know that you truly can do anything. For you know in your dreams you can do anything. That is an accurate representation. That sense is an accurate representation of the experience of being out of your body and recognizing your unlimited, multidimensional creatorhood. It can be. It can be. In our perception, the first step would be to not create the idea that there is first. Because you are assuming that there is a process you have to go through to get there, rather than simply knowing you already are there. The creation of steps is okay. That is what we want. It is very valid, it's very significant. If that is your way of doing things, then that is how you do things. And that is your gift, and that is your expression, and that is your creativity, and that is the purpose you are serving. But if you are aware that you can choose other methodologies, then we simply suggest to you that the quickest result will come through not needing to think that you need to take steps, but that you are already there, and allow your life to show you that you are already there by becoming the ecstatic explosion of coincidence that reflects in physical terms the simultaneity of existence. You will attract all the opportunities, all the situations, all the people, places, things, when and where you need to exactly. What a coincidence. Yes, it is a coincidence, but not an accidental one. Then, you simply act upon what you have attracted. Attract, act, attract, act, attract, act. That is how we grow. Attract, fit, no. Attract, It's very simple. But your process, whatever your imagination comes up with, is tuned to you. That is what it is for. Thank you very much. You are welcome. Yes, you, from male to male. Guys.
I'm a crystal healer from Hawaii, and
Yes.
I've been living totally in my imagination, and all of my dreams are manifesting.
Yes.
Absolutely clearly, it feels like my life is a total playground, and I
Yes.
can have anything I want. Well, my body's going wild because I want to ask you something.
All right.
Okay. I've had this idea
Yes.
because about 12 years ago I had a hysterectomy and I would never be able to have children. And I'm going to be marrying this very beautiful man who is very Christ-like in a way.
You all are.
We all are, of course. Total service, that's who we are.
Yes.
I want to know what you have to say about this idea that I have, that someday I will have the Immaculate Conception. Will you insert that to you?
Of course.
Explain that to me, because I know.
All right, very good. Simply, the being you can attract in this way will be able to partake of your body in such a way as to project itself directly into what you call your being structure and activate the process of evolution in the age. You follow me? Now, likely, it will be female, therefore. You follow me? Likely. Not that it has to. But in this way, simply, since that idea in your imagination is a possibility, then it is a reality that can be real in your fourth density world. Now, it has happened from time to time. In fourth, but manifesting into third. Now, also has happened in a sense the other way around. You'll find that there are in your planet many ideas about pregnancy that seem to be what you call normal pregnancy, and yet when it comes to what you call third, there is no child. For the child has experienced the third dimensionality of birth only to the extent it needed to, and is born in another density.
I almost get it, but I didn't exactly get it.
Simply this: trust that the idea you are creating is a real reality in fourth density, and that it may not be such an, I'll say, abnormal method of giving birth in your future. Now, the idea of our procreation has contained that idea many times. For understand that though there is, to some extent, the idea of what you call the physical interaction, it is more of an energy act. And in this way, it is the exchange which sets up the vibrational pattern, the electromagnetic fluid out of which the third entity can partake of and form its physicality in the womb. So that clear it up a little bit.
So then I actually will have this kind
You can. You do not have to, but you can. Yes. Yes.
Well,
Now understand that there have already been many individuals in your society that have been told in no uncertain terms by your medical profession that they cannot have a child. And they have had many. Simply because you choose the timing of the agreement with that child. And if it is not the timing to have children before that child, nothing you do will have a child. Nothing. After that time, nothing you do will prevent the child. For there have been many children, again, as we have said, where medically, physiologically, the women have been told, you cannot have a child. It will not happen. It is not possible. Oh, a couple of years later, doctor, I am having an impossible child. The timing is what creates the ability to create that idea. But when you are the being that is the being that has made the agreement with that being, there will be nothing stopping you. So, thank you. Now, all right. Do you wish to take a short break? Or do you wish to continue? I do not need one. All right. Proceed.
I would like you to help me understand my understanding of the transition in this process.
Which is?
My understanding is that I'm in the process of blending myself.
All right.
And I find myself consistently perceiving that pain and separation, and I pick thoughts along the lines of being expressed as if I imagining the tendency and the sense of completeness, then I can allow it to manifest. I don't experience what I label as
Pain of what nature?
emotion.
Why? What situation, what ideas allow you to create the idea of pain in you?
I seem to have a belief that I have a belief that somehow distances me from connecting with my feminine. That's
Why do you think you have that belief? Why do you believe you have that belief? What does it do for you to have that belief?
I don't know how it serves me, the consequences of
Do you think perhaps, let us just play around with this for a moment, that one reason for having the belief that creates pain is so you will know that you are tired of creating pain? All right. Are you tired of creating pain? All right. Then take a deep breath and let it out. Now, in this moment, right now, are you willing to believe you do not have to create pain in order to understand yourself?
Yes.
All right. Very good. Now, understanding under support yourself as you are. You are taking support away from yourself. You are not understanding yourself literally. You are removing the idea that the experience you are going through in the way you are going through it is not the way that you should go through it. It does not fit your preconceived notion of how you think it should feel to blend the energy. Lighten up on yourself. Relax about how you have chosen to do these things. And in that second of relaxation, you will remove the idea of separation. Remove the idea of loss, and remove the idea of pain. Now, all pain, physical and emotional and mental, all pain is the result of imposing a separation between yourself and the all that is that you are. Therefore, if you truly understand yourself, you will support yourself as you are in any given moment totally. That total, unconditional, we say unconditional love is what will serve you, is what will come back to you, is what will support you, is what will nurture you, nourish you. Unconditional love. If you are willing to love yourself as you are, unconditionally, then all that is will be able to love you unconditionally as well. And that will support you, and you will feel the love and feel the blending, and be the love, and be the blending, and live your life. No.
I don't know how to answer that.
Yes or no? Sometimes I'll allow a little maybe.
There appear to be two levels in my experience, my intellect and my power.
Oh, all right.
There's at least a part of me that's behind that.
That is only the product of a belief. The idea that you believe, but the idea that a part of you can be ahead and a part of you can be behind is real to you. Why put stock in that belief system if you do not find it explosive? But you are consciously aware of it right now. If you become consciously aware of it, the process of integration is over, not beginning. You, many times in your civilization, think that when you ask a question, that is the beginning of a process, and so you create a long process to discover the answer. The asking of a question is the realization that you already contain the answer, for the question would never have come up with you once again. Only because you can only perceive that which you already contain. A question is the answer separated form, because you are separating the answer from yourself. So you put it out here and say, well, here's a question. But the only reason you can say, here is a question, is because here is the answer. This is a mirror. Look at it and see the reflection. If there's a question out here, then understand where the answer lies. Therefore, the idea of when you recognize that you are doing a specific thing, thinking a certain way, believing a certain way, that is enough of a recognition to know. That recognition in and of itself is the end of the process. You have integrated in that moment. Only your assumption that there is something else to do gives you the idea of having to create a long path which contains struggle and pain and effort and oh my goodness. Therefore, in the moment you conceive that you have such a belief, you don't even know it's a belief. You didn't know you have that belief. Does it serve you? Yes? No. If yes, keep doing it. If no, do something else. Create in your imagination a new habit. Create a new habit and live that way. This idea is now not me. I am now this idea. Understand again. Your imagination is real. Ideas are not things that you have. Ideas are what you are. Your reality is what you are. This physical reality is who you. No. It does not come from you. It is you. It is you. This room that you are in is you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and all of you. Look how many rooms there are here. Each has their own room. And they have agreed to a certain extent to share that idea. But it is different, slightly different, for everyone, in very significant ways. Just get two people to describe the same situation. Always. This is an indication. Although you have only taken it as an idea of, well, let us say, faulty perception of a one real reality, that is not so. It is actual perception of two real realities, three real realities, 4, 5, 6, and infinity real realities. For it gives you the opportunity then to understand the power that you are, and gives you the opportunity to understand the reasons for why you create things. And then gives you the opportunity to experience the things you create for the reasons you created them, and not assume that you are missing the point, or that what is happening to you does not fit into your life somehow. You cannot experience an interruption to the path that you are. Everything that that happens to you happens because of you. And everything that happens in your life is a reflection of the path you chose to be. And if you think of it that way, if you get into the habit of looking at your life as an example of what you believe you need to experience, then the moment you allow the situation to serve its purpose, it will then be able to transform into something else. For you will accept everything in your life as is. And you will not cut off a portion of yourself from yourself. How do you do? For accelerating into mind and understanding of yourself. Good.
I'm really enjoying imagining you.
Thank you. I am having a wonderful time imagining you all.
Bashar,
Yes.
I allowed myself to become the idea of abundance.
Oh, very good.
And ever since I have done
What
this,
kind? You have a specific kind, or simply the idea of abundance? All the way around.
all around, plus a special emphasis on finance.
No, all right.
Ever since I have done that, the room I was in and the world I have been in has been seen.
Yes.
I've experienced it, physically through my eyes,
Yes.
with a lot of nausea and dizziness,
All right.
fever, and an ongoing set of symptoms that I'm not comfortable with.
All right. Now, all of these symptoms are reflections, very typical reflections of the idea of the acceleration into fourth century. The reason you are experiencing them in that way is simply because of this. You contain still within you a bit of the old belief that you still have things to do to become a more accelerated you. You are comparing a slower vibrational you in the present with still a higher vibrational you in the future. When you have this dichotomy of comparison and you bring these two ideas together, the slower rate rubs up against the faster rate and creates friction because of the unidentical rate. This friction translates into your bodily consciousness as pain, disease, temperature changes, and all sorts of things that reflect the idea of resistance to simply being the idea itself and not feeling like you are being carried away against your will. Oh. It is very slight. It will acclimate as you become used to, let us say, in your colloquialism, shifting your being. You, the you are now, will feel at home spinning as fast as the you think you are becoming. And then when you spin at the same rate as the idea of your future self, then it will be a rate at which you are comfortable. It is simply a slight adjustment to it. Because you are still connected to everyone else here, and you do not want to get ahead of everyone you agree to share this experience with. So you are, I would say, going full throttle with your parking brake on. That is what is creating the friction, the fever, and all the spinning. Ease up. You will only ever go exactly at the perfect rate. You worry that you're going to get ahead, get behind, of anything. All of you have agreed on the idea that you call your own destiny. Fate with destiny are always on time. You will not miss them. They will not miss you. It is not possible by definition. No.
Yes. I have one more question. I have also recently manifested an experience of what I think is a creative energy. I saw clouds appear, disappear, and I felt another density, either a ship or a breaking time, space, another dimension through the clouds.
All right, more of a doorway, yes, than an actual craft, so to speak, yes. The idea, again, is simply your cognizance of connection to the idea of your future self and the beginning consciously to form a relationship with that you.
My mind and personality seem to go into a hyperactivity or panic.
All right.
It feels left out.
It is not. But simply recognize this. What you call your personality is an artificial construct. It is not who nor what you are. Thus, it will only always act as the instrument, the vehicle, that will channel whatever energy you think yourself to be. Thus, in this way, it will vibrate with the idea of, let us say, the doubts, lack of willingness, lack of assurance, lack of trust. As you channel the energy through yourself, but are not sure of the solidity of your own structure, then the fragility that exists in your mind with regard to the physical body that you have and the personality that you are will vibrate and seem to start coming apart too. But it is only a reflection of the idea that you carry within yourself that you think you are going to pass. That you think that there is a tolerant limit. You are simply coming up against the edge of your belief system. But you must break. You are in that sense immortal.
Is there a way through that barrier?
Yes, relax. When you have the experience, enjoy it for what it is. There is no need to panic. The panic that you feel is simply things that you have kept within you that are coming to the surface that you are afraid to face. Understand that is one of the reasons why our civilization and many other civilizations do not physically land en masse on your planet. For instance, the idea is that now, again, not to mean that we are better than you, no. But the idea that we are in our energy field around our body, around our presence, contains the allowance, the complete and total unconditional allowance of everything that we are. When you come into contact with a being, such as on your planet, that in its energy field has created gaps because it has, I'll say, repressed parts of itself that it is afraid to face. When it comes into contact with a more highly accelerated field, many times that highly accelerated field will have a tendency, because of your co-agreement, to accelerate your field and bring those pieces to the surface, let us say, by centrifugal force. Being forced to face what you are not ready to face causes panic. And that is why many individuals that have had, let us say, brief encounters from time to time, have come away feeling they have seen monsters, demons. They have seen their own reflection of the people they are not willing to face, because they have run into a field that demands that you are aware of the moment. Thus, you do not land until you see yourself as equal. This is simply all you are experiencing. Let it happen. It will not go too fast for you. They know what they are doing, and you know what you are doing. Trust that, and the experience will be something you will allow to be all right to live through and not run from. All right? And last but certainly not least, is your turn. Hey.
I'm also curious. Can you say something about the sound?
Simply in this way, again, the idea we are discussing of hiding something from yourself. So the experiences that you have must be hidden behind the clouds. Since you know they come, in a sense, from outside, what obscures the naked face of that experience are the clouds. In the same way you have created what you call the primitive habit of finding fear when the source of your life in past times, being the sun, was obscured. Make the analogy in what we call a primeval habit ingrained in you. The idea that in recognizing the idea of the source of your life and having it obscured causes panic. But the idea in this way that you are reversing is simply that what you are not yet ready to reveal to yourself, because you know that it is the source of yourself, you keep it covered so that you will see it a bit at a time. Thus it comes to you symbolically from behind the clouds, so as to allow you to peek at it until you are ready to stand in the full light of your own godhood. There is connection that you form to other consciousness, not third density, not the third density aspect of those consciousnesses, no. But you are forming that connection from the purposes you chose to do in this life. Any connection that you are forming, any connections you experience in this life, whether it be the idea of point of origin, so to speak, or interactions, so to speak, those interactions, those recognitions are the result of the choices that you chose to do in this life. We're going to clarify the idea. Thank you.
Bashar?
Oh, my yes, thank you.
So many things that you were saying this evening seems to me that there were different times in our history and different places. Let me clarify this. In primitive societies on our planet, I would think there was a greater understanding of a lot of things you're saying than in our modern day society. If that was the case, why as a planet have we done so much to destroy those civilizations where it seems like more of the truth that you're communicating were available?
Because in this way, simply, it was your decision to explore the idea of self-limitation. So you would know that by the time this has come around now, the time you are now in, you will, as a being within creation, have explored to the very end of all density and absorbed for yourself the understanding of all that is can be, even in the experience of limitation. Understand that from the level that you chose to experience limitation, the idea of limitation is not a fearful one, and you find it to be what you are here, that level. Because fear is one of the defining terms of limitation. Let us say, so to speak, that while you knew what you were doing, you still surprised yourself. As to the extent to which you would forget who you are. But it's simply part and parcel of being a creator. Simply because you can do it, you do it. Because the Creator creates in any way, shape, or form that it can. Simply because it can. It does not need a purpose to create, because it already can. Existence is. Therefore, anything that can occur in it will. For no other reason than because it can. Follow me. Will that have answered your question?
The only thing that remains incomplete about it is that there were other ways of being.
You are being all those other ways too. Understand that simply this particular way is one of the ways that doesn't let you remember that. That is all that it is. You are now beginning to remember that there are other ways, and you will remember that you are living all those other ways.
Yeah, one
It only seems limiting because this is the game you are in.
Well, everything that you're saying this evening is a sense that I've heard it before.
Yes.
And that being the case, if I have that capacity to forget,
yes,
what will prevent that continuous forgetting to continue?
You are here. The idea is that you have created for yourself an opportunity to remember. Not because it is me, but because you are attracting to yourself opportunities to remember. That, in and of itself, is the indication that now is the time to remember. And you are in synchronous harmony with the civilization in which you have placed yourself. For this is the time of the transformation from forgetting to remembering. And if that is not what you wanted to do, you wouldn't be here. So being here and recognizing that that is what is going on is in and of itself enough of a clue to let you know that is not what is. Follow me.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
Question?
Is it possible to communicate
it is possible in a sense. Now, there are many ideas to this, and many of them will depend upon how you view your reality, your belief structure. Understand again, first and foremost, that anything you experience in your reality, even communication vocally from you to another physical person, even that is only experienced because you are creating your version of them to have a conversation with. That extends even to people who have, in your terms, died. You can always create, and do create, your version of them with which you may always communicate. Even though in the death experience, there may be aspects and facets of that individual that, in a sense, are no longer focused in physical reality, and thus do not really pay attention to your communication, but there will always be one facet of them that will. Now, that experience of communicating with those out of the body, again, only reflects the symbology that you need to experience at the moment, because that's the belief system that you have. You are always in touch with every portion of consciousness. Alive, dead, other alternate dimensions, other civilizations, other times. You are always in touch with all of them. You can, however, create a scenario in which you do receive communication and interact with what you perceive to be the specific persona, so to speak, of the older soul that you remember as the person you have known. It is possible. Depends again upon the reasons for why and the needs for why, and your specific belief about how it is possible. That will create the interaction in whatever way is necessary for you. And whatever way it does happen, that is the way you chose it to happen, to reflect who you are. It does not have to happen in a specific way for you to know that it does happen. Now, that you do not feel in touch with. Why do you not feel in touch with them? Simply because they are no longer physical.
I feel that the way I am in touch with them now is just my memory.
All right, but understand again. Your memory is still present creation. You are only confusing that it exists within the time track of what you call the past, which to you is not real, and it is real right now. You are creating the past in the present. Therefore, memory is still present creation in the now. Only your lack of willingness to believe that your imagination and your memory represent real reality in the present keeps you separate from that consciousness. You follow me? Now, use your imagination right now. And simply in your imagination, open up communication. Send your love, first of all. For it is your love that will be received. Now understand, in that level, the love itself is the message. And there is no need for specific differentiation of vocabulary and alphabets. They receive your love. They send you their love. That for them is all the communication that is necessary, for they are on about their business. They have been of service to you and are still being of service to you, simply because you have agreed with each other that one shall leave the physical plane before another one, does not mean you are through with your relationship. The idea is that they are being of service to you in the way you both chose to have the relationship continue. Because now the idea of their being in another plane allows you to stretch your senses and your imagination and allow what previously was not real to become real, so that you know you are still connected. That is the service they are allowing you to perform if you are willing to take it. So reach out, feel them, know that they feel it, and simply allow yourself to feel them and know that you are feeling them. And that the way you are feeling them for you is real, and it is a real reality. And they are cognizant of it on whatever level they have to be. But they are also on about their business. For the physical plane no longer concerns them in that way.
What are the things?
Many things. Can be living in self-created realities of different sorts, testing, experimenting. They might be considering the idea of reincarnation on your Earth, or perhaps another civilization, or not reincarnating at all. There are many opportunities and many options in this way. And until the choice is actually made, it is all the same. There is no way to really know, per se. Because they are now a thought form in a world of thought forms. And anything is possible, and everything is real. In that level, whatever you choose to perceive as the reality that you are, that is what you will experience. And to you, it will be tangible. When you change your mind, the reality will flicker like that into something else, and that will be tangible. That is one way of experiencing the near after-death reality. Now, as you, in your terms, ascend to higher and higher planes, you become less and less physical, and you simply become not a dimension in which you exist, you become the dimension itself, and experience all there is to experience of yourself actually being a dimension. Well, there are many adventures outside of physical reality. Many. This is not the beginning, and it's not the end, and there never will be either. No. Thank you.
Bashar.
Yes.
Poems by using sound and color and heating.
Yes.
You specifically talk about using colors, light, and gels in healing.
Well, this is very creative, and you already know that you have your own symbology for what each vibration represents to you in this way. Our perception of the energy of your mass consciousness generally thinks of the idea of red as being applied to the physical form, as orange as applied to the emotional form, as what you call yellow applied to certain levels of mental awareness, and green to higher levels of mental awareness, the collective mental rather than the individual mental, and what you call blue in this way to the spirituality, the electricalness of yourself in this way, and what you call the idea indigo, more the collective fluid of the consciousness itself, and more the violet, being the representation of the overall dimensionality of your Godhood, creatorhood, consciousness in this way, the oversoul self, the high vibration. The idea also of ultraviolet, infrared, extending to some degree into the aspect of other dimensionality, alternate self, and the infrared being subconscious mental level, subconscious physical level, those ideas. Your physiological band spectrum in this way can be very representative of this idea. Now, those are generalized terms. You will find them basically similar from individual to individual as we perceive the energy of your civilization at this time. This can change. Simply use your instinct, use your imagination. You will understand what works. The individuals that have attracted themselves to you will understand what works. They will cure themselves.
Yes. In relation to adding sound
Yes.
to the color work.
Simply feel your own tonality. And in this way, strike the chord that resonates within you. Hear what feels right. Allow the person that is undergoing the healing to hear what feels right. Now understand that this idea, in your fourth density reality, at the very beginning of it, when there may be still a little bit of the idea of separation, can in and of itself be all that is necessary as one tool of healing. For what you can do is begin to recognize each individual tone in an ideal state. And when they come to you, you can sense how maybe the tone is, so to speak, a little off, a little flat. And in this way, what you can do is say, all right, here is your tone now. Here is the tone you are when you came to me when you were healthy. All right. Now, we will recreate the tone And when you allow your energy field to resonate in sympathetic vibration with the tone of your ideal state, then you will allow your energy field to align you all the way through. And you will fully be in your ideal energy state, and everything that is not a part of the idea of your ideal state will no longer be there.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the dim shaw method of using colors on specific organs, etc.? Does that have validity?
Everything has validity for the individual who believes that it does. Everything is a tool. Everything. Allow your imagination to realize whether or not you resonate to that specific tool. If you do not, that does not mean it will not work for someone else. But you can alter it with your imagination or choose something else completely different that will work for you. Understand that there's a great frustration of your so-called scientists. The idea of the need to standardize everything, and there is no such thing. Something which does not fit into the scientific paradigm can still work for someone whose belief structure is outside the scientific paradigm.
I didn't get that.
An idea, a tool, a methodology that does not fit into the scientific paradigm, or let us say simply one way of looking at things, it will not work in the belief structure that does not allow it to work in. But that does not mean it will not work in the belief structure that does contain it. This is why you will find that many times individuals will be healed regardless of what the doctors say. Or they will remain sick regardless of what the doctors say, until they find within themselves the idea that allows them to accept their power of being themselves.
Yes. There is tremendous freedom in
Oh yes. Unlimited freedom. Unlimited. There is no one way. There is no one path. If there were only one way, there would only be one person. Look around you. Yes.
I understood you to say before that there was no such thing as right or wrong, but only preferences. I understand you correctly?
You are creating the concepts of right and wrong from attitudes of judgment. But intrinsically, basically, foundationally, a thing is not right or wrong. It simply works for you, or it doesn't. It simply allows you to know you are self-empowered as a creator, or it creates a feeling of powerlessness.
Isn't there something that is generally desirable about some things and generally undesirable about other things?
You can, again, exercise your own preference. I prefer this.
But aren't there some things that we can agree should not be preferred?
There are no shoulds.
But I'd say that, to me, I'm not comfortable with that.
All right.
I understand what you're saying.
All right.
I made the same statement myself,
Yes.
actually.
All right.
But I feel that most of the time, murdering someone else is something one should not do.
It is not something that is loving. That is, in that way, true. It is not something that is self-empowering. That is, in that way, true. But, understand this, it is still the product of a choice. The choice of the so-called murderer and the choice of the victim, so-called. For it is the murderer's option to not be attracted by the victim.
In terms of desirability, I would still say...
It depends upon what your idea of yourself is. I understand your terminology. Let me simply say this. If your desirability is for recognizing yourself as all that is, then the idea, so to speak, directly of dominating someone else and forcing your reality upon them may not be the most efficient way to go about recognizing your own godhood. No. But that is all there is to it.
I feel somehow that was a dismissal of something I hold very dear. I'm not sure why I feel it, because I'm not sure I followed the last 30 seconds.
But I'm kind of clinging to the notion somehow that it is desirable not to murder people.
It is only desirable when your desire is to love everything.
Yes, okay. Yes.
Therefore, if your preference is unconditional love, then simply the idea of murder is not in that reality. And therefore, all right, in a sense, in your terms, it is not desirable simply because when you are unconditionally loving, you find yourself never desiring to murder.
Yes.
In that way, it is not desirable. But there is no need to put a value judgment upon it. For again, each and every one of you have taken lives. And each and every one of you have had your lives taken. And it is all
How do you mean that?
in other lives. And all of that has still gotten you where you are now.
Bashar?
The beginning of recognizing yourself as all that is and loving yourself unconditionally. So while the idea of murder may have, in your term, prolonged the time span in which you forgot who you were, you still are going to remember, ultimately, because you cannot ever really be destroyed. For the reality that you are now creating, the idea of murder is, and in a sense will be, no longer a part. For the idea of needing to do that to someone else is simply the recognition that you believe you are powerless. For you are powerful enough, as powerful as you need to be, to have anything you want in your reality without hurting anyone else to get it. To feel like you must dominate someone else is a statement that you are powerless. And that, with regard to the idea of recognizing your own godhood, is not something that when you are in your own godhood, you desire to feel.
Bashar? I'd like to share something on this, the way I look at it. And that is that as a spiritual being who can do anything,
Yes.
we may select at some point in time to experience what it's like to experience murder.
And you all have.
Or to experience being murdered.
And you all have.
Simply because we can.
Yes.
So in order to be murdered, somebody has to do the murdering.
Yes.
Which in that case it could be actually a loving gift.
In a sense, yes. Recognize that simply it is the product of the value judgment of the idea of victimhood. Recognize that what you normally call a victim is also, in a sense, the murderer. Because the victim is creating the radiation that attracts the perpetrator. And thus, in a sense, the perpetrator is actually the victim's victim. By falling into the victim's trap. You follow me? Thus, it becomes very blurry in that sense. Only in physiological terms does it seem so cut and dried. But the idea of the emotionality that has created that scenario is that simply, when you are through playing victim, you will be through playing victimizer. When you are through playing victimizer, there will be no victim that will call forth that attribute within you. It is all one event. All polarity, cause and effect, it is all the same event. Victimizer and victim are two polarities of the same event, the same action, the same energy, the same consciousness. They are vibrating at the same reality. And they are, in that sense, yes, being of service to one another. If only to realize that, let us say, in the next life, well, we do not want to murder anymore. We do not want to be murdered anymore. So having the experience, let us know that. Therefore, it serves us. Now, we will create a life in which there are no murderers. No murderers. You follow me? Thank you for your sharing. Yes.
Your civilization express itself in terms of literature or actual experiences?
In a sense, but it is mostly spontaneous. There is not so much the idea you call written literature, no. But there are the idea of acting out spontaneously. With groups that may arise also spontaneously, there can be some that are in a sense planned, but again, it is mostly spontaneous. In the same way that many times I have, in speaking to you, began our discussion with what you usually call a dissertation. I do not plan those. The second I begin communication with you is the first time I have ever thought of those ideas in that way, in terms of how to communicate them to you. No. Yes. The dissertation is created completely in the moment. I do not sit up nights writing it out, planning them, cramming, as you say. There is no need to. For simply being in the moment with you allows me to ride the wave of your reality, and for you to ride mine, and to share and co-create an experience in such a way that it reflects the perfect timing of our interaction in whatever way it has to. I simply ride those waves, and the ideas are there.
We co-create your interpretation.
Of course. For they are the product of your consciousness. What you perceive, you contain. You are co-creating what I am saying to you, because all I am doing is reflecting back to you what you already know. My sensing is simply, let us say, my art, is simply allowing that knowledge of you, from you, through me, in a way that is understandable to you. Thank you. Because I have chosen to be of assistance to civilizations that have requested assistance in this way. Also, I am connected in many ways to what you call the physical channel before you. We have the idea of a relationship in the sense that I, in a sense, am the physical channel's future self. The physical channel is the only life I have had on your planet, though I have many past lives on my own. In this way, our bridge and link is formed from lives on other planets, other civilizations, in what you call times gone by. And our recognition of the intensity of the focus and the purpose of what was going on your planet, or let us say what was about to happen, allowed us the opportunity to attract ourselves to you so that we could be of service in the way we had chosen to be of service. That is why you have allowed me to be here and why I have accepted this. To allow you to know that you are all that is. So that in allowing you to open up, in your choosing to open up, then the universe for us becomes that much bigger.
How long ago did you feel this request? We're talking about hundreds of years? Thousands of years?
Let us say, in a sense, only within my lifetime, but the specific focus of the consciousness that set up the circumstances are in your terms of counting. Now, this will be very nebulous, but in your terms of counting, the setup is approximately 175,000 of your years old, even though I have not determined this until my lifetime. In your terms, approximately 157. But this is basically meaningless.
Bashar?
Guys,
Can we go back to the victim-victimizer scenario?
if you wish.
And how does the victim of the action of the victimizer exercise himself in the pain?
Exorcise themselves from the pain
Right.
by choosing to not be a victim, by choosing to not act like a victim, by not
Still
giving
been
the power
victimized.
away.
But they've still been victimized.
So what? That was then, this is now. Every moment in time does not have to be connected to the last moment unless you determine that it should be.
Well, in your scenario, or the gentleman's scenario with the murder,
Okay?
that is in itself an ending.
in a sense.
But in many situations where there is a victim and a victimizer, there is no ending.
Oh,
The victimizer continues to victimize the victim.
Not if the victim no longer acts like one. Understand that because you have created a repetition in the cycle of your fear, because you do not believe that you are the creator of your reality, because you believe you are inherently victimized by even being alive, you are in the habit of assuming that that is the only way life happens. It is that habit of assumption that allows you to continue to recreate yourself over and over and over and over and over again as a new victim, to be victimized one more time.
Again, each time in the moment, because moments, yesterday, today, tomorrow, are all now.
Yes. And therefore, when you change the idea of yourself in the now, then all of your successive nows will not contain the reality of being a victim.
But it doesn't erase what occurred
Yes,
yesterday.
it does. You are not understanding. You create the past and the future from the present. Memory is a present creation. Why do you think you call absent-mindedness the product of genius? The ability to be in the moment completely alters the past. You do not have to respond. Only because you think in terms of linear time do you think that what you call a past incident is always going to hang around your neck. One moment is not the last. And the memory of one moment does not have to be the memory of the last. And that is just as real as the moment you were a moment ago. Control it.
Well, I hear what you're saying.
You simply do not believe that the idea of being able to create a new past is real.
No, I don't think I'll say that. I think I can agree with that. The problem is that I can't agree to erase the past.
That is your choice. And the idea of the definition of what you call a problem is simply a situation you will not allow to change shape. That is what a problem is. You fixate and focus upon an idea to such an extent that you do not allow it to transform into something else. Therefore, that is the habit that recreates the victimhood.
But it's possible also not to be a victim in every sense, but just to be a victim in one.
Of course, any way that you wish to create and experience the idea of victimhood, you can do so. You are the creator. Are you true?
Yeah, I'm true. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. All right. You may take a short break. All right, I'll say. Sherry.
Bashar? When we were speaking earlier, I asked a question about Jordan,
Yes.
and you mentioned the gentleman named Tupac.
I did not mention. Other mentioned. But we confirm the energy of what is recognized in your civilization as a consciousness in your terminology that refers to itself by the sound tonality. Also originates from the Sirius system.
Okay. When I spoke with you and got the answer that I got with you,
Yes.
my body, I started to feel the energy spiral
Yes.
that feels very primal to me.
Yes.
And I'd like to explore more into it. I have two feelings though that come up. One is fear to move into all of that energy.
Why?
I don't know how I can,
Survive it.
yes, or feel ease with it.
All right. Now, let me ask you a question then, may I?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you believe that you knew what you were doing when you chose to be here physically?
Yes.
Why should you assume that you have stopped knowing what you are doing? That you would have chosen something to do in your life that would not let you fulfill the purpose you chose to be in this life?
Yes.
Trust yourself. That is number one. What is number two?
Number two is the feeling of excitement. loving moving into that feeling.
Very good.
And wanting to live in that.
All right, now understand that your excitement and your anxiety, it is the same energy viewed through the polarization of your physical reality. Anxiety, excitement, same energy. Choose which one you prefer. Both.
Yes.
You are simply giving yourself the opportunity to see both sides of that idea. Because you, as you move forward through yourself, into more awareness of yourself, are always, because you are doing it from a physical point of view, going to see the polarity in every facet of yourself that you look at. Just go through it. All right?
Yes.
Will that be of assistance?
Yes, I need to ask one other
Yes.
part. I keep feeling that there's this beautiful black tunnel to move into.
All right.
And as I'm speaking about that now, I'm feeling tremendously bountiful.
All right.
And I feel a huge amount of space.
All right.
Oh well?
No. There are individuals on your planet who have been receiving communication from serious energy for quite some time. If you initiate conversations with them, they can have much to share with you. And perhaps you will enjoy learning about that energy from their point of view.
I'd like that.
All right. They are called your dolphins. You see the relationship?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Existing in that energy seed. You have received communication from serious civilization for quite some time, but you have not consciously recognized it. They consciously recognized it for what it was quite some time ago. You recognized it, but and let us say through the filtering that you had created for yourself, you, I'll say, mythicalized it. In a sense, interpreted what you received in a way that represented the idea of what you call mythical creation. Certain of your civilizations have created the idea that beings from Sirius have come to your planet in the form of what you call half man, half fish, amphibious creatures. Now, they are not literally half man, half fish, but the amphibious quality reflects what you could understand at the time to be their quasi-matter energy idea, and you sense them as existing in a type of liquid, so to speak, environment. Water was the only thing that sufficed at that time to explain that idea, and thus that is the way you perceived them when their energy appeared to you as civilizations.
Is that also mermaids?
To some degree, yes. Although, some of the idea of what you call mermaid was also a result of your race memory of genetic experiment in what you call Atlantean times. You follow me?
Yes.
Are you true?
Almost. I was the one who asked you about Orichalcum. Orichalcum. And that's
the metal of Atlantis.
Right. How is Atlantis and Sirius connected in a fashion for me or in general?
There were many connections during that time, during many phases of Atlantis. In this way, you have had lives there, all of you have had lives there, and there was some recognition in that way, specifically for you in what you call levels of priesthood that recognize that communication in that way existed, so to speak. You are remembering some of that, and some of the vessels that you used to assist you in recognizing that connection were made out of Orichalcum.
Yes.
Gold, silver, copper, and mercury.
Yes. Does it have a little bit of bronze in it too?
From time to time it can, though the majority of the variations is not.
I've started expressing myself with those colors.
Right.
And I started making paintings.
Very good.
Using those colors.
Then that is also a form of communication. And it will allow you to open up your senses to to be able to receive communications on many different levels. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
How do the dolphins receive us, and what is their purpose in being here on Earth?
Well, now they have some similar purposes in a sense. You and they are, in a sense, the co-parallel species upon your planet that inhabit your planet. In this way, they have created for themselves the identification completely of their nature as to such an extent that you do not even recognize them as sentient like yourselves, but as animals in this way. They are conscious in much the same manner that you are conscious, and are the only other species upon your planet that create karmic reincarnation. This idea, also, is simply that they are experiencing the joy and the ecstasy of that reality and acting as a support system for your reality, in that they have agreed to, well, hang around for you.
How do they perceive us? I mean, as nasty people being after them, or as...
Sometimes.
you know, I heard just briefly after the shuttle incident, they threw a wreath in the area where...
And there were dolphins, yes.
Yes, there were dolphins there.
Yes.
I thought it was very
Well, they would love to touch you. If you would love them.
They were...
That. To some degree, but they are extended sensorially in ways that are, let us say, more closely approximating the idea of a collectivity. They are, in a sense, similar to the way my society interacts, in a sense. But they simply do not express themselves upon land. They interact freely and out of ecstasy. Yes. No. Joy? Yes. Fear? No.
Joy is continuous. Does it get boring?
No. There is always something to learn. Always a new experience to enjoy.
You experience pleasure?
Yes. Certainly, you do not think I would be bored even with you. You are always one kind. Yes.
Are there people from our civilization going to other civilizations through them as you come to someone?
Not really. Not exactly. Except for other portions of yourself that you would not really consider to be part of your civilization. Almost. However, you'll find that your civilization, my civilization of Sirius, is a triad consciousness, and we are taking turns doing different things. In a sense, not really, but in a sense, you perceive us to be ahead of you. In a sense, but not really, we perceive Sirius to be ahead of us. Now, they are accelerating out of the triad. We will, in a sense, take their place, you will take ours. Another planetary system will come into the grouping. And for that planetary system, you will function as their UFOs, their entities. You will channel through them to them.
But at this time, that's not happening. We're not doing that.
Not in a physiological sense. In your dream reality, yes.
I've had senses and dreams that I'm teaching somewhere else.
Oh, yes. You are very busy. In dream reality, you have many jobs. They are not restricted to what you are doing on the earth plane. Yes.
Do you report back?
I am reporting right now.
Are you here studying us? And
Only
reporting
in
back
the
in
sense that we are learning from you all the time. And as I am making the connection, that energy flow is available and open to anyone in my civilization at the moment it is going on, or at any time they wish to connect into it. I do not report, so to speak. I experience. My experiences are a part of the society for anyone to experience.
So your society can perceive what you are perceiving.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. I'm experiencing some stomach pain now, which I've been dealing with for quite a few months. And I'm attempting to learn how to cure it, or I'm not sure what the term is.
All right.
Stop creating it.
All right. What is it about life you can't stomach? What really gets you in the gut? What really aggravates you? What upsets you? What ties you in knots? What really bugs you? Well,
I don't know. First thought that I had was being stopped.
very good. All right. All right. Now, do you find that there are simply things in your life that you can no longer digest? That perhaps you are still ingesting out of habit? Or, let us put it this way. Have you recognized that you think there are things you should stop ingesting, rather than simply allowing your system to let you know when the right time is, by simply having or not having a particular urge? Do you force yourself to become more spiritual? What do you think? Simply asking.
I think I'm deciding what I shouldn't have rather than following the impulses. And I don't think I'm forcing myself to be more spiritual. But I think that I probably think I should force myself to be more spiritual.
All right. Then you are saying that there is a portion of yourself you cannot stomach.
Yes. That's it.
All right. Why? It has gotten you where you are. Therefore, it has served you. You do not have to eat yourself alive. You do not have to gnaw at yourself. Punish yourself for being the you thought you were. It got you where you are, obviously. None of us, everything you have in you. Take your arm, now physically, and squeeze yourself. Hug yourself. Love yourself. Love your stomach. Love your stomach. Stomach yourself, but not put up with yourself. Know that you and everything you have been does feed what you are becoming. You do not have to reject that food. You are your own flow of energy. Now understand this as well. You do not have to rely on your physiological stomach to sustain you. You are transforming into fourth density. The idea of needing the symbol of food is becoming refined. But allow yourself to change as you feel the change happening. No need to say, well, all right, I better clean up my act, better change my diet, even though I really want that hamburger. But no. I am a bad person for eating that hamburger. I am not spiritual. No. I will be spiritual. Oh, that hamburger is looking better and better. Oh, I feel a pain and emptiness, a void that only that hamburger can fill. But I refuse, for that is not a fourth density, that is my spirit. Hogwash. You have created the idea of hamburger. It is exactly as spiritual as you are. Now, when you allow yourself to change, naturally, you may, by being of a different vibration that does not require that form of substance, simply automatically lose the urge. It will not be a matter of having to decide whether or not to have your hamburger or whatever you substitute in place. You will simply not think of having it. It will not seem right somehow. You will enjoy this more, and so that is what you will do. And you may find that as you move further toward plenty, you may eat less and less and less. For it is not your organs that will sustain you, nor were they mentioned except in the density you are emerging out of. What you call your electromagnetic system operates through your glands. The chemical interaction and electrochemical balance of your system is the product of the direct energy absorption that comes through to your glands. And thus you will sustain yourself on what will feel to be a very minimum requirement that simply infuses the glandular structure with all the vitality it needs to maintain the electromotive field of your existence. In this way, therefore, you find that the idea of your evolution, so to speak, is that many of your internal organs will continue to blend back into the idea of your total self, and will not need to function, so to speak, in that way any longer. This will take some time, but it has begun. And in this way, simply, trust your body consciousness, not just with the idea of food, but with the idea of everything it has always been, for it has gotten to where you are now. Treat yourself with kindness and care, and love every portion of it. And are living light. Living light. So light enough.
Thank you.
Can you take a very loving deep breath? One more time. One more time. Sleep peacefully and awaken a new one that is filled with the ease of creation.
Okay. I wanted to ask you for a long time about, on your planet, do you have anything, or do you use a tool similar to what the tool we have, astrology? Naturally, you wouldn't have the same planet. But I know on your planet there is no moon.
Correct.
And,
you do not use the tool astrology, no.
Okay, are you aware of, like, vibrational frequencies and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
But we are also aware that we are the creator of the vibrational frequencies and can change that idea.
Right. Now, how many planets are in your solar system? Is there
7.
7. Which
we
one?
are, like you, the third.
The third, right. Are there moons on the other planets?
Some.
Are the other planets like larger, some and smaller?
Yes.
Yeah. And your sun is kind of greenish or something?
It is green star, yes.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, yes.
Yes, I'm very much interested in learning and thinking what you said about creating your own reality.
Yes.
One of the things I notice in myself and other people, a lot of the time when there's a choice to either grow or remain the same, a lot of times, even though I want to grow, I find myself remaining the same very often out of habit. And I wondered if you could, and it's come up several times this evening in your conversations with people.
Yes.
I wonder if you could maybe talk a little bit about why is it that, given the choice so often of doing something growthful or staying with a habit, we very often go with a habit instead of the other.
All right. Simply, basically, let me say that the type of reality you have created, in which you have chosen to forget, has created a number of types of belief structures that have grown to the point where, when you are very little, you are, I'll say, beaten into learning the reality that you are expected to learn. Thus, you buy into, very early, belief systems because you depend upon individuals around you for your physiological survival. You will buy anything they have to say. Therefore, it is ingrained in you, and in a sense, because of the cycle of repetition that you have called reincarnation upon your planet, it is also to some extent ingrained in your soul. And that is why it is, in your terms, difficult to break that habit. But you are. Simply as evidence that you are even considering the thought, you are making the change. You follow me? Or, if you were not making the change, you would go on about your life and never even know that such an idea existed. You would never hear it. So you are changing. Your habits are changing. The fact that we are here with you is proof of that. The fact that you are even considering that there are other civilizations is proof of that. You are thinking in ways. The more you become integrated, the less time it will take to have even more new ways to think. For the process of integration is the shortening of the creation of time. That is why you have taken 25,000 years to explore the process of separation, but will only take approximately 2,000 to 3,000 to experience integration, and then you will not be to reincarnate in the earth plane anymore. For the idea of integration does not need time. Separation is what creates the sensation of more time. As you well know, when you are having a good time, time flies. Now, again, this is not simply a fluctuation in your ability to perceive the passage of time. For the idea you call the passage of time is only an illusion. When you do not sense it, it is not because you have not been paying attention. It is because you have not been creating it. You simply are here, then you are there. And the action that you have been performing will take the timing that you have ascribed to it. And time will not be considered. Time is subject to timing and obedient to timing. And timing is only you meeting yourself. You living the ideas that you chose to live. Being the event of your life. In that way, you can, in a sense, live forever. For the idea of the cessation of self-time means that the more ideas you become while you are still in a physical reality, it will be the less time that your body will feel, will experience. You will live your normal lifespan stretched out over many hundreds or thousands of years, simply because you will be living in the moment and will not feel the passage of time. You will simply wake up, and it will be 1,000 years later, and you have been having such a wonderful
I'd like to ask for some pretty specific information. I feel very privileged. I work with a vanguard group of artists and scientists who are inventing new mathematics and physics and brain research and investigations into the Gaia politique, all in search of an integration of using the planet's sanctity. And I'd like to know if you would be able to furnish these people who seem uniquely qualified to help in this hinge of history
with, dare I say it, a roadmap of some sort, delineation of the steps that one would need to take to help in this time, whether it be in cognition or biophysics or anything, any information at all.
We can only assist in a limited fashion since we do not want to interrupt the process of your own creation, but we can share this idea with you. When individuals in your society, in many different disciplines, begin to allow consciousness to be a factor in their equation, they will have their unified field. They will have all the interrelationships of their mathematics and social interaction. When they know that they are creating everything in their reality, they will be able to choose what they wish to create in their reality. The program is yours to write and rewrite. Now you have an overall momentum in your society, it is true. And in this way, there are certain, let us say, energy overlap or standing waves in the pattern that you will meet of yourselves and give yourselves the opportunity to lay down different ideas upon the grid and see which one you prefer. The idea, first of all, is to recognize in your social political structure that you have created that the scenario, the levels that you have created within it are such that you have said, take all government, take all religion, take my responsibility from me. Protect me from what I fear. Be a shell in between myself and the rest of myself, for I fear the rest of myself. Take my responsibility. I give it to you freely. That scenario that you have created has allowed there to be a cessation, a suppression of information that does exist in your world. First of all, make no mistake, your government are very, very, very well aware of our presence. Your military has had face-to-face talks with different civilizations. They know we exist. They understand the idea of what our existence means to you. But they are the guardians of your fear. They are the guardians of your power. And when you come into contact with that which says you are your own power, then it creates a fear within the guardians that they will lose their power, not understanding that they are already self-empowered. And that to allow you to take back your power will actually allow them to feel their own self-empowerment. They will no longer have to be responsible for you. Therefore, recognize first of all, as you talk about the idea of the grids, the programs, the structures, the ley lines of your vision of your own future, the acceptance of your power, the acceptance of all that you are, is required to lay down the type of structure upon which you can then do whatever you want to do. You follow me?
Yes. I'd like to ask you what exactly is the relationship between creativity and consciousness? How can one inject one into the other and back and forth? Or are they the same thing?
In a sense, creativity is simply consciousness recognizing itself in different ways. Each and every one of you and us and all beings in creation are simply all the different ways all that it has of looking at itself, of recognizing itself. That recognition is what creates creation. You follow me? That is our understanding of the process.
Bashar?
One moment. How do you do?
I'd like to ask one more question.
All right.
I recently had a conversation with a biophysicist who is a practicing Tibetan Buddhist and has invented or discovered or worked on a new model of the brain
Right.
based on the practices of Tibetan Buddhism.
Right.
And
What has this person found?
I don't know. He's just about to make models of it. But my question for you is, the way in which you do cognition,
Right.
how is that related to the way in which somebody who is a biophysicist does cognition? If that
Simply
makes any
this.
sense.
You get the result that you design the experiment for. Thus, if you understand, if you create the idea of yourself to be the idea that all portions of your brain are functioning perfectly with all other portions and interacting and balanced and using all sides, all ideas, you get that type of a reality. If you concentrate in any one particular area at any one particular time, then the feedback that you get will only come in symbols that reflect the biophysicist-ness that you are being. You may not see the same correlation in other fields, other modes of looking at things, but they are all there. Simply what you design yourself to be specifically results in the specific type of information that you allow yourself to perceive. And only in that way will you perceive it. Now, even individuals who may think that they always consider themselves to be biophysicists change from time to time, though they may not recognize it on a conscious threshold. Thus, much of what they find to be, or what they think to be, progress in their specific chosen field is actually the result of skipping around and being many different things and then simply bringing it back to an understanding through the terminology of biophysics or whatever. You follow me?
Yeah, I do.
That is actually the process of creation that occurs in the mental field of your brain. You are connected to everything. And the central area, what you call the corpus callosum, in this way that divides the hemisphere, at the very center, there is a segment that is set aside, so to speak, allowed to symbolize what we will refer to, in a sense, as a black hole, or a white hole, or both, through which your higher consciousness turns into the mental electromotive field that you think of as mentality or mind, which is completely a reflection on physical terms of the action of consciousness in an electromotive, electromagnetic field or area of reality.
Are you referring to the pineal gland?
That is one of the areas, but no, not specifically. You have not really, in a sense, so to speak, discovered this yet. Your pineal gland, however, is one, along with the pituitary and what you call the medulla, of the three that form a trinary base that are directly receiving from the central black hole area this energy and then translating into the different methodologies of glandular and cellular and organic chemical manifestations that support the body that you are. It comes from the apex in the very center, creates the idea of the crown chakra, and creates the idea of the foundational tetrahedral-based structure that is exemplified by what you call pineal, pituitary, and medulla.
Sure.
Okay?
Some time ago, we had discussed the unified field theory.
Okay?
And we had tried to identify the mathematics that would be used to actually describe the relationship that exists between the four basic forces.
Now understand that you have now begun to consider that there may be, so to speak, five.
Yes. Right, yes.
In this way, however, it is only a clue to let you know that there is only one. And this new supposed fifth idea is not really a separation, but will show you the type of interphasing that goes on to let you know how the supposed four become one another.
Yes. When you spoke, I actually that evening gained more insight than I had for many years into the possibility of understanding the actual mathematics involved. And you at the time had said that because your channel didn't know of the mathematics, that you didn't have the language to communicate with us.
Correct. Not in mathematical terms.
In mathematical terms. And
aside from the fact that our so-called mathematical terms are completely unlike yours anyway.
Yes, sure, of course. However, it occurred to me after I had done much thought and the insight that I had gotten from you that night,
right,
that in fact the mathematics, I believe, does currently exist, but it is purely, at least currently, unapplied.
Yes.
And the terms that refer to it are a combining of tensor calculus and algebraic topology.
Tensor dynamics, yes.
And I guess what I'm asking is, does that sound like it's the right ballpark?
Yes. Now, this understanding of the new, so to speak, fifth charge will allow you to develop those mathematics into an understandable form. That was the, in your terms, missing link. Now, yes, just as the alphabet exists, which it does, you now can, with this new clue, rearrange the letters to form some new words, mathematically speaking. This will reflect that you already understand the concept and create the words to reflect that knowledge. That is why we say when you allow consciousness into the equation, you will bridge that gap of understanding that lets you know you have the terminology.
Is it a correct perception that it is the element of consciousness itself in the equation and the relationship that in fact allows for the continuity of the discrete perception of how the physical universe is actually structured? I.e., if in the physical universe we have one energy level and another, and there is virtually nothing energetically in between. Is consciousness and the inclusion of that in the equation that element which will allow
for the homogeneousness to occur? Yes. Because in this way, you will simply find that when you understand what we call the non-physical consciousness template, it, in a sense, is truly everywhere, even within what you experience as a energy void in your physical reality. For it is, in and of itself, the description of the relationship that creates the so-called void. Void.
Yeah, I think so.
Simply, the skin of your reality lays upon the bones of the template, and in this way you divine the shape only by the bones that stick through. But there is an underlying current that does bridge the both of them. Now, in this way, understand this, therefore. By this analogy, what you call your proton, yes?
Yes.
Your electron, yes? It is two ends of the same phenomena. They are linked outside of your dimension, and one causes the other. One is a spiraling in and a funneling out. The other is a spiraling out and a funneling in. And that is why they are linked in the way they are. You follow me?
It's like
the spiral connection, let us say if the atoms are in your plane of paper, is a loop that goes through the paper.
I see. It's like if it were a rubber bone, one end of the bone as it pokes through is the proton, and the other end of the bone as it pokes through is the
Yes, and it is reversed because when you take a spiral and go this way and continue in an arc, when it intersects the plane again, it is spinning the other way. You follow me? That gives you your opposite charges. And the electron is so small because that is where the funneling is going in, the black hole. The proton is so large by comparison because that is the white hole, of which the energy of the electron is spewing back out into your reality.
And that same concept accounts for electron pair bonding opposites.
Yes, all of that. Explore that idea. See where that takes you. There will be, in your terms, a few more of your moments remaining for this discussion yet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With respect to experiments, you get the results you expect. I know that is true, and they have shown that.
Right.
But there are a lot of scientists who are experimenting, doing research,
Right.
and do not get the results they expect, and as a result, create new theories and develop new ideas and explore new avenues.
Right.
And
But that is because they are open to begin with, to allow for other things to occur. And that is still part of their expectation.
okay. But that is not true now for most scientists.
It is true for everyone.
Oh, okay, for everyone. We're talking about research and
Yes.
the results that you expect.
Simply, it is this. Many times, the habits that you have created in your society, when applied to the idea you call science, creates for itself the need to keep asking questions which create a need to keep creating processes instead of simply understanding what is going on. The need to discover by searching rather than discovering by being.
But that's because we're in third density and we're
That is
living
what I
with
said,
it.
yes.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Did not say it was wrong.
Okay.
Simply said that is the way it is
Yes.
because of this.
Okay. But now, you can blend the two.
They are. That is why you have the idea you call quantum chromodynamics.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
You, then you.
Would you explain a little bit about the universal template?
Only very briefly. Now, it is simply that our perception is that there is an underlying, now I will be very colloquial, underlying non-physical template upon which the physical universe is constructed. Not all of the non-physical template shows through to the physical side, but the implied structure is there. And that is what you are perceiving as the regularity of the energy patterns. Now the idea is in and of itself for us represented by what you call two tetrahedron, that is three-sided pyramids, base to base, with one pointing up and one pointing down. This creates a symbolic figure, a mathematical equation to us, that represents all the different ways that this universe takes its shape from the initial concept. You have the 6 planes and the 5 line faces in this way, which represent the 11 dimensionality of your universe. You have the idea in a single tetrahedron of showing, if you take the base to be x, y, z factors, both positive and negative, of location, and the apex to be the factor of time, again, both positive and or negative, you will understand. Do you understand the idea in your reality that you call the uncertainty principle?
No.
All right. The idea that you can neither know both position and momentum at the same time. You follow me?
No.
Now, if you have this tetrahedral structure and you have a base plane, that is the x, y, z factor of position, and the apex that represents time or momentum, you, in the physical reality, only have the ability to measure any one face of the tetrahedron at any one time. That is your approach to your dimension. Therefore, if you choose to know complete position, you will measure only the base. But it will not connect up to the apex where time is, so you have a fuzzy notion of momentum. If you get the complete idea of time at the apex, when measuring any one of the faces to which the time apex is connected, you will only have 2 of the factors of the position, and so only have a fuzzy idea of the position. You follow me?
Yeah.
Only in a fourth density, fourth dimensional state can you see the whole figure. And that is where the template lies, in non-physical fourth density.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is
Yes,
that-
one moment.
Yes.
Then you, and that will be it.
Bashar, I have a friend who shares with me that has a disease called melanoma.
Okay.
Can you comment on that and how this individual could prevent the disease from being created further?
Is the individual willing to speak for themselves? Then let me first point out this. The degree to which you are willing to share the conviction of who you are has to do with allowing the totality of yourself, including the totality of your physical body, to be present, rather than allowing bits and pieces of yourself to dissolve away. The idea of conviction, of feeling the power of the core vibration that you are as the Creator, standing up for yourself, loving yourself, centering yourself, the willingness to share in the method you have chosen upon your planet that you call vocal communication, is, in and of itself, or the lack of willingness to share that, is in and of itself an indication of simply lack of communication to all portions of your own physical body. You follow me? You are not communicating to those portions of your body. And by reflecting this idea, by not being willing to share of yourself, which is a very beautiful, loving creation, with others around you, feeling that you will be judged, feeling your own fears of lack of self-worth and coming up short, you are then defining immediately for yourself the fact that you are withholding communication from the creatorhood that you are to those different portions of your body that you are cutting off from yourself. You are closing your lines of communication. And the idea of not being willing to communicate outside is a reflection of not being willing to communicate within yourself, to your body consciousness, listening to your body consciousness. Your body consciousness is not less deserving than your spirituality. Your body consciousness is an extension of your spirituality. You are a spiritual being in everything that you do, even having physical reality. Physical reality is not something that you need to run from. It is not less than spiritual reality. You do not have to take yourself through that process if you do not want to. No one in this transformational life has to die in that way. It can be, however, looked at like this. Instead of feeling like you are punishing yourself, you can recognize that many times when individuals create for themselves the idea of dis-ease, they are allowing themselves to be of service to other individuals who recognize the dis-ease within you and then can recognize the dis-ease within themselves in the various ways they have manifested. So you can use what you normally think of as a negative idea to know that you may be being of service to other individuals, to give them an opportunity to look at this idea in ways they have never looked at it before. Now, this will let you know that you are always, in everything that you do, being of service. You are not flawed. You are not a failure at life. You have not failed at sustaining your vitality. Your vitality is simply going into the creation of the idea of disease. But your disease is vital. Understand, you are always using 100% of yourself. Even if you are using 90% to make the other 10% believe the other 90% doesn't exist, you are still using 100% of yourself. Even if you are allowing the 10% to allow the 90% to keep pretending it doesn't exist, you are still using 100% of yourself. You are whole. You are whole. You are not flawed. You are a whole being. Share of your vitality with your civilization. Do the things you want to do. Live what excites you. Share of yourself, knowing that whatever you have created in your life is a gift to others. then you will allow yourself to choose another way to express it. Because you'll be letting the way you have chosen it up to this point be a service to you, to them, to all that is. Knowing that you are a service to all that is will let all that is support you. And you can then be the idea of yourself that does not contain that disease. Share your joy. Be willing to communicate. Open yourself up completely. You have within you the belief that vulnerability means exposure. Vulnerability, when you look at vulnerability as being completely open to everything, that is strength. Be vulnerable in strength. Responsibility is yours for everything that you create in your life. But again, when you think that responsibility means blame, you are always judging yourself to be less than you are. And so, sometimes, your physical body will reflect that by dropping away every piece of something to reflect that to you. But if you know that responsibility for everything in your life means that you have chosen everything in your life, then you know that responsibility means complete freedom of choice to choose anything you want as your life. So vulnerability and responsibility can begin to function in your world as the freedom of choice that allows you to feel your complete and total strength of self-empowerment. The core vibration that you are, that is all that is. You are extended to the infinite ends of the universe. You are unshakable. You are one thing, indivisible. Treat yourself that way. And even the divisions that you have made of yourself will reflect the indivisibility of your existence. Answer me this. Did you have to deserve existence to exist? Did you have to do anything to deserve to exist? No. You exist. You always have. You always will. You do not have to do anything to deserve to exist. Therefore, you do not have to do anything to deserve anything in existence. Know yourself as existence, and you will exist as the complete idea of yourself. In joy and love and ecstasy.
I just wanted to ask you, I went to a seminar a while ago, and during it, I was sitting there, it was like a meditation type thing, and someone was communicating with me through the mind, and all of a sudden I had a strong feeling to put my fingers together to make a triangle, like Daryl did when he was becoming a channel. I was wondering why. I felt that it was a powerful thing, but I didn't know what I was doing or why.
We have instituted this idea in the beginning with the physical channel because the connection from what you consider to be the present self to the future self of yourself occurs through what you call the solar plexus chakra, and in this way, it is a crystallization of alignment of the energy so that it stays focused. So you are sensing simply that you are making that connection, and you are instinctively holding on to the beam of energy that represents that idea to you symbolically. You are guiding it into position. Following.
Yes, thank you.
Look, each and every one of you, from our unconditional love, we always, by sharing with you, discover more and more and more of all that is that we can explore. Your sharing to us is a great gift for which we will thank you. eternally. We, our civilization, your civilization, and all consciousness, together, we are the sharing that continues forever. We love you. Love yourselves. We'll find you. We will bid you exciting dream lives. We will bid you good night.
Thank you.
Actually, he didn't come.
I have an announcement. I have an announcement.
Very much for being here.
Thank you, James. Just in case anyone had a good time tonight and would like to see Bashar again, I would like to let everyone know about a special event that's happening Friday of next week and Saturday of next week. It's going to be an information concert featuring Bashar and another extraterrestrial, a female named Leah, who comes through a medium named Jamie Sam. And they're going to be giving an information concert on the power of love at the Wilshire Edel Theater. And there's going to be music also, there's going to be dancing, there's going to be crystals, they'll be talking about the power of love. On Valentine's Day, channeled information, music and dance will focus on the marriage of feminine receptivity and masculine action within the self and society. Putting this love energy to work in daily living will be the focus on Saturday evening the 15th. And if anyone's interested, tickets are $20 and I have tickets with me now. Thank you.
Thank you.